Welcome back to the Co-OpCast. We're doing another Player 4 episode with our good friend. We're all pretty good friends with him from our childhood in school and church and pretty much just our small hometown. His name is familiar among the three of us. We have another Carter with us today. Super excited to have Carter with us. He's awesome. He has a lot to say. I think we have a lot of fun things we want to talk about. He's pretty much into farming just like I am, so we can talk about that and compare some fun things and how that can compare with video games and some farming video games. Yeah, why don't you say hi?
Hi everyone, I'm Carter. Welcome to the podcast. I'm happy that you're joining us today.
Yeah, he's our number one fan, pretty much.
I really am. I do feel like I've been thinking about this, and I think that I feel like how Carter would feel if they invited him on to One Piece as a guest character. Anyway, or like when the like rock star invites people onto the stage. I feel like that.
That's how you feel.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Except for our audience is a total of 50 instead of 500,000.
Yeah, but when you get to 500,000, it's gonna be like that.
We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there when that happens. We're gonna keep doing this every week. We love it. We love to have you with us. We love all of our guests, and I really like our Player 4 episodes. That's pretty much. I don't think we've really announced it yet, but that's what our guest episodes are called. They're called the Player 4, and so yeah, we're excited to have you as another guest. Let's get started.
Woo!
But before we get into it, just a reminder: come join our Discord, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. Like, just come join our family, man. We're ready to have you. With that being said, how are you guys' weeks going?
Not much here, man. Just school.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, I'm getting our puppy tomorrow. I mentioned that a few times in the past few episodes. We've been preparing for our new puppy, watching a lot of YouTube videos, reading a lot of articles. We have a whole little corner in our house set up for him. So next episode, I mean, I said it last time, but we're recording at a different time. But next episode, I'll have a lot to talk about with the whole experience of our first week with the new puppy. And yeah, I'll probably post some pictures onto the Instagram and the Twitter. So keep an eye out for that. And I'll let you guys know if I made a big regretful decision or if it's been a lot of fun. But it's probably going to be a tough week.
It'll be a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, I bet.
Yeah, it's like having another baby.
Our big news is that we finally got Brina a functional computer, and it's actually like working. We were scared because when it first came, it came in yesterday, and it wasn't working. And we're like, "Are you kidding me? Are we going to go through this again?" And we just saw that something was loose, and we like tightening it and putting it back together, and it works like a dream now. So that's the fun thing that's happening in our week over here in Idaho.
Good thing you figured it out before you returned it.
Yeah,
again.
that would go through another computer 3 in a month.
Goodness.
Was something loose inside the case?
Yeah, it was the RAM that was loose. One of them was just popped out a little bit on one side, and so we had to unhook it, take it out, and then replug it in, and now it just works. It's good. So
Nice.
With that, let's get to our guest, Carter. Who are you? Tell the people what's up. What's going on in your life?
Yeah, so I'm Carter. You know me because I'm one of the 3 hosts on this podcast. I just have the same name. Okay, so here's what's going on in my life right now. So I graduated from college in April, and the pandemic happened a month before that. And then after that, I started working at a wilderness therapy program in Arizona with troubled youths. So I would go along with a couple other employees, and we would take groups of kids into the mountains and help them heal from whatever emotional or mental health issues they'd been having. And so I had been doing that until the holidays, and then during the holidays I came back home, and since then I've been working in my family's orchard. And gosh, what else? Okay, and then also a couple days ago I started taking some online classes for a master's program, or like pre-graduate classes for an econ program that I'm trying to get into. Today I just started my application to the Peace Corps, so I'm hoping to do that once
wow.
the pandemic calms down a little bit and they let people back into that. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice. Well, I think you're doing a lot more than the three of us combined.
It really does not feel like it.
So,
And I have 0 podcasts.
oh, well, you're in one right now. You got
All right,
one.
there we go. That's the yeah.
So I want to know more about this job you had in Arizona. So, are you saying that those troubled youth would benefit from just the natural environment of being out in the wilderness? Or would you have like a program that you would go through with them while you're out there, like some sort of therapy session?
It was more like the wilderness was the therapy, you
That's
know?
awesome.
So, yeah, I don't have any kind of credential that would qualify me to like act as a therapist for these kids, but they would meet with their therapist once a week, and they still do it. The program is still going on.
Mhm.
But so they meet with their therapist once a week, and then the job of the trail walkers, which is what my position was called, is to um, take the clients through the mountains, essentially, from one campsite to another. So, yeah, the responsibility of the trail walkers, which was the name of my position, would be just to take the clients from one campsite where they had met with their therapist to the next one. And they would usually be about 30 miles
30
apart from
bucks.
each other. And so
Would you be like camping overnight, or is this like a 1-day hike, or?
no, yeah. So it was camping. So that was how it was for us. And the trail walkers are out there 1 week on, 1 week off, and then every week they get switched out with new trail walkers at the campsite that the kids are at. And the kids are out there and I say kids, but it's also adults enter the program sometimes as well. So the clients are out there for yeah, it's a minimum of 6 weeks. I think that the average is like 70 days or something, so it's about 2 months that people are out there. And we would like our backpacks that we would use are ponchos, like military surplus ponchos that we would put all of our stuff in, and then you kind of wrap it up like a burrito, and then you use paracord to tie it tight, and then you loop your gunny sack that you sleep in through the paracord ribs to make arm loops for your
Right.
arms. And so it was this super uncomfortable backpack that you'd be hiking with.
It's
And
intense.
then at the end of the day, you would unpack it so that you can use the poncho and then the other poncho that you have 2 ponchos. And one of them you sleep on, and then the other you use as like a lean-to tent. So you tie one corner to a tree, and then you like
Take it.
stake the other corners down with like rocks or something. And that's kind of it. Yeah. And then you also get a tin cup, and then that's what you cook with. And then also every week they get their food replenished, and they get letters from home, and they send letters to home. Yeah, I think that
freaking
that's
crazy, man.
that's
Yeah.
what we do. Yeah.
It's like boot camp or something.
Yeah. Sometimes
Sorta.
it's kind of rough, and a lot of the times though it's nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you're
could
just
see how
camping.
nice it could be. You're just escaping the world.
Yeah. These kids, when they're out there, have no idea like what's going on in the outside world for the time that they're in there. Like maybe barely, just from trail walkers and from letters from home. They're just like out there, and then also like if you work there, then you're just out there, and that's kind of it. And it's at first really boring, and then you kind of get used to the silence and figure out how to deal with it and how to
Yeah. Because you
yeah.
obviously don't have your cell phone with you, right?
Yeah, yeah, in theory, you don't, but, yeah, you don't have your cell phone. Or if you do, it's at least off and hidden.
Like
Um
yours.
Huh?
Like yours.
Um,
He will not reply.
No comment.
no comment.
So
'Cause yeah, anyway.
so you were telling me a few weeks ago about a little bit about it. Not so much, but you did mention a little funny circumstance of what you had to do.
Yeah.
You want to tell us that
Yeah,
story?
let me tell you guys all about it.
That's
So,
good.
as you well know, I'm a huge fan of the podcast. Right? And there's been the thread of the bidet that's come up on occasion. And I myself have not tried the bidet out yet. I'm really hoping that I have to poop by the end of this episode so that I can go try it out. But I do have experience with a bidet, and it's during this stint that I had working with this program because we don't get toilet paper when we go out there, and so everybody kind of figures out their own way of being hygienic when nature calls. And there are a few different methods. There are those that swear by using river stones because they're smooth, and then there are those that use sand.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ugh.
which, not to bring religion into this, but like the Quran actually talks about that you can use. So that's historical precedent there.
What?
But and then some people use their hand and then wash it off because we do get soap. So some people use the hand, and then I think that the more common thing to use is to use just any random leaf that you find. And what I had kind of my method that I figured out was to use a bidet. So to just kind of you take a Ziploc bag and you fill it with water.
Oh.
You bite just the teeniest, tiniest little cake
Hole.
frosting hole in the corner of it, and then you squirt it up your butt.
I was so confused for a second. I was like, what do you mean? Like, these are all the nature things, and then you just randomly have a bidet?
Cake Buster.
Yeah, just to frost.
The river stone sounds the best to me, to be honest.
Nice and cold.
Yeah, smooth and
I got one sitting on top of my toilet with my bidet. Got my
So
my
that you
river
can
stone.
go every other. Actually, I would usually do bidet and then juniper sprig. It's got to be facing the right direction though, because that'd be ugly. And then back to bidet, and then back to juniper sprig, and
Does it
that's
have
the
a nice
cleanest
smell?
that I've ever been. Yeah.
It's got a nice smell.
So I would recommend adding that into the bidet
Okay.
system.
Yeah.
Some essential,
Yeah, you'll have to try it out after this episode and see how it compares to the whole cake froster method. with
Yeah,
your-
I forgot my juniper.
awesome.
Right. So just adding a little bit more to this job you had before we move on. Do you have were any of the kids were there any funny stories about any of the kids? Any funny memories? Because they're all troubled kids, right? They all had some issues they were dealing with, and I'm sure some were pretty unique.
As we all
Yeah,
as
we're
we
all
all
dealing
do,
with
yeah.
dealing with.
Oh,
got
honestly,
anything?
that's how it felt like. Some of the kids honestly didn't have any. I don't know. So, sometimes you feel like, does this kid really need to be out here? Are they fine? Do they just kind of need some communication, some better communication with their parents? And sometimes that felt like the case. And there was one client who I talked to who actually just was kind of doing the normal teenage rebellion thing and actually got kidnapped in the middle of the night by people who were hired by their parents to bring them to this program.
What the heck?
Yeah, and they came into the room and the kid was like, "What's going on?" And then their parents were there, and their parents were like, "We love you, honey. This is for the best." And then they got carried out of the room. So you asked for a funny story, and that wasn't funny, haha, but it was funny. Maybe the Joker movie was funny. But there were a lot of that kind of story.
Yeah, I'm sure it was
Jeez.
a whole different experience. working
Yeah.
there.
Gosh. Anyway, there was a lot of funny stuff that happened too. I'm sure. I think that
Probably lots of poop funny stories, I'm assuming.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that's the first question you ask when you meet someone new is, how do you wipe? What's your method?
Oh yeah. Well, hang on.
Oh, you're that kid. Okay. No, we can be friends.
But in terms of actually funny stories of the thing, I think that most of the things of the time that I was working there, I think most of the things that happened out there that were funny were more like you had to be there, I guess. And so I don't really want to bore the listeners with those stories. Like, honestly, with no other entertainment source out there, you really do just find the most random, tiny little thing incredibly entertaining. And so I laughed harder out there than I think I had in a long time.
Yeah.
Even though, thinking back right now, like, the time that I'm thinking of, it was just a kid making up a weird song. And like that was it. And it wasn't even like that incredible of a song, but anyway.
No, I've been on a lot of long hikes too, and long like camping trips. And when you distance yourself from social media and just the world,
And video games.
yeah, games,
Ugh.
stupid games.
When you're actually out there, like,
Yeah,
in real life, and you don't actually have to
Yeah.
experience it through a game.
It's funny
I'm
how
kidding.
fast you just distance yourself from the world. It's funny how fast things change. And I can totally see what you're saying, where like anything can be funny, and it's a blast being out there in the wilderness.
No, that's cool.
It's been a long time since I've been out there. We got to go camping, do a camping podcast episode.
Oh my word, are you guys kidding?
We'll have to do it in the summer. Or
Let's
something
do
when
a
you guys go.
camping episode.
We got a laptop out there with one of our mics.
We can all try the bidet.
Ooh,
Cake frosting bidet.
do a tutorial. Just need some Ziploc bags. Go to the river nearby.
Word. I cannot wait.
Live reactions. There we go. We'll write that one down.
So let's move on from Arizona for a little bit, and let's kind of go with another subject if you guys don't mind. Let's go
Sure
with
thing.
our player 4 guest here and how we kind of know him and stuff. I'll go ahead and start. Carter here actually was in my graduating class in high school, and when I moved to the town that we live in, he was one of my first friends, along with a couple of other buddies and stuff, and just was part of like this close-knit group and stuff throughout high school. Played a lot of sports together, did a lot of things together. You guys want to relate like how you know and everything like that?
Yeah, me and Carter were good buddies when we were kids. We're still good buddies. And we would just take turns going to each other's houses when we were younger and spending the night and just doing a lot of cool things. Like we would just go find an anthill and just put the entire anthill inside of a jar and just sit there and just watch the colony move around in the dirt.
We
and,
put a bee in there one time.
Put a bee in there and the ants took down the bee.
Ants won. The wasp beat the
Yep.
ants later.
We'd climb a gigantic stack of hay bales, and we'd just sleep up there with a little DVD player, just watch movies. And we would, I don't know, we just do all kinds of things.
One
Like
time we
four-wheelers.
built a fort out of like hay bales, and then my forearms were all scratched up and broke out in hives, but
Yep.
it was so sweet.
It's
We
worth
made
it.
like little Minecraft beds in there.
Yep. I remember you spilled hot chocolate on your legs one night when we were up
I think that was that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awful.
You like just screamed in agony, and I was like, I don't know how to help you.
I forgot about that. Wow. The mind really does just erase trauma.
Yeah, we would play the
Sometimes.
GameCube together. I don't know, we just would always just find fun things to do. Just good memories.
Also, I want to say about Colin that Colin's house is where I have, well, Colin and Carter's house is where I have probably over 50% of my video game experience. And at Colin's house, in between like school and football games, I would just hang out at Colin's house
And we play
and
Madden or play ping pong.
we'd play either Madden or ping pong. Yeah, so that was a nice thing.
With our little pregame ritual of having raspberries.
Yeah,
Raspberries.
and it always worked 90% of the time.
Nice.
When we won, it worked.
When we won out, it worked. It did.
Yeah.
My memories of Carter are basically football practice, football games. I was a freshman when you were a senior, so we don't have, as many experiences as Carter and Colin. But yeah, you were
Yeah.
always you were the funny guy, when I was around you.
Yeah, and you took up that mantle very well, Sawyer. And then, and I did go to your house a couple of times, but mostly to hang out with your older brother. And I played
Yeah.
Spore at your house. That was
Did
sweet.
you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I remember one time I played Spore while your brother was out doing chores. That was a sweet memory of mine. Because I wasn't made
Yeah.
to do chores, I was the guest.
Right.
And that was after the party.
I think every guest, since we're going to talk about farming this episode, everyone that came to our house, that happened every time. Me and Peyton have to go out and do some farming stuff. and then they'd usually stay home. I mean, stay at the house while we did stuff. But
I always
so
took you
annoying.
guys because I was your cousin.
Yeah,
I'm
not
your
you.
cousin.
Yeah,
I
not
felt
you.
like I helped too, just
Did
because
you?
I think so. Because I remember one time we were moving like a stack of wood, and I straight up just dropped one on your brother's hand, and
That's awesome.
he was so mad at me.
You were with us at that time because I have a memory like moving stacks of wood, and
Yeah.
I literally vomited because I was like just sick.
I
Like
think
I was
yeah.
just so exhausted because I was just constantly lifting up heavy logs. I was
Well,
probably in like 5th grade, and I literally like turned around so no one could see, and I just threw up on the ground because I was so tired.
yeah.
That is that's incredible to me. Also because you recently shared a meme. Well, like you recently shared a meme of like somebody on Facebook saying like, I don't know, what was it again? It was something with cowboys and how video games are bad.
Oh, that was
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a meme that I saw recently on my Facebook, and it was just a picture of like a bunch of cowboys on some horses, and then the caption said, "Some people weren't meant to sit on their butt and play Xbox all day," or something like that. And then the person who posted it was just like, "Yeah, I'm glad none of my kids were into games and stuff because those people suck or whatever." Just basically putting down anyone who likes to play games just
Yeah.
because they're basically useless to society.
Yeah, so the story of you throwing up while as a child you stacked wood was especially funny to me in the context of like that meme because yeah, all of us have as much as we're like into video games, also probably do. I don't know the person that posted this meme, but we do have more experience with manual labor than the average video game hater.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot more. Oh, that's
I'd
right.
like to say.
Mhm.
Right. And I even remember a couple of times, not every time, but whenever I'd go to your house, sometimes I would help with your work on the farm as well.
Yeah, because like I don't know, my dad's a farmer as well, and like that's what you do.
Yeah.
There's just
Is you get
sometimes
up
things
and
need to get done.
you have a
Like,
guest. Great, work will get done twice as fast.
And I'd rather be out there helping you guys than just sitting in your room or something by myself. Like,
mhm.
I want to go home. But no, I have good memories working out with you guys on the farm, on other farms too. Like one day I went and helped brand and like give some shots to some of your cows. And
Yeah,
on our farm, we don't have any cows, so it was awesome doing something completely different that I haven't even done to this day since that time, like over 10 years ago.
Dude,
it's great.
branding
I
is so
didn't
much
know that we
fun.
had you come out to like Brandon
Yeah.
and do that.
I didn't brand any. I was too young, but I just kind of watched, and I took the cattle prod, and I would like kind of push the cows
Mhm.
in
Pushing them
line.
through the chute.
Yeah, it smelled so bad, just like burning flesh and hair and stuff. But
Yeah.
it was good. Good memories.
Last year was my first year of ever branding because my wife's parents are farmer or ranchers, so it's a cool experience. Branding is
Yeah.
so different than anything else you probably do in life.
Yeah.
I just put a rubber band around a baby cow's nuts.
How
2
did you
days
feel
ago.
after that?
2 days ago.
I felt bad for him, honestly.
Dude,
And that's kind of a good turnaround to what we want to focus on today is just farm life, how it really is in person and in real life. And we want to kind of talk about some popular farming games out there that you guys might into, kind of cover some things that you guys might not realize what really goes on in real life farming. Because in farming games, it's really not how it really is. There's a lot more work that is involved to get some milk from a cow or some wheat or some tomatoes or whatever whatever you would acquire on a farming game. I know, Carter, you're into a lot of farming games in the limited experience you have with video games. You want to talk about some of those games that you're into?
I would love to, Carter. Thank you. Um, yeah, so I mean, like most folks, most of my experience with farming video games comes from Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, and well, Harvest Moon more from my childhood. I would play it on the Game Boy, or not the Game Boy, excuse me, the GameCube.
The best Harvest Moon.
Yep.
Yeah. What's the name of that one?
It's called Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life.
A Wonderful Life?
Yep.
That is the one.
And they
Yeah.
actually came out with a sequel to that world,
Mhm.
and they called it Another Wonderful Life, where you play as like a female. But it's
Mhm.
literally the same game, but you're a girl, and you can marry 3 different guys instead of the 3 different girls.
What console is it on?
GameCube.
Oh,
Also GameCube.
Yep.
No, mine was the first one. Yeah, and my sister convinced my dad to let us get it because she was like, "Dad, it's gonna get us like into farming more. Like it's about farming." And he was like, "Well, just farm in real life instead." My sister wasn't ever really that into farming that much, so
which
it
girl
worked.
would you marry?
I was a bachelor. I was just a bachelor. Also, wait,
You
no,
never got married.
no. Never mind. I just remembered it was the green girl.
Yeah, same. Celia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Celia.
No, in
Muffy?
Stardew Valley, I had a
Oh.
commitment to stay a bachelor, but in this Harvest Moon game, it was the green girl because she
Yeah.
was. I think that it said that she was down to earth in her description, and I
Yeah.
liked that.
Yep. And she was
Muggy
a farmer.
Muffy just begged to give it away. She's so easy.
She was the daughter of a bartender.
Bartender.
And then, was it Naomi?
Yeah, Naomi.
She was the redhead that was, like,
She
mysterious
was
and
the hardest to get.
you never really knew where she was or what she did.
Yeah.
Very
But
hot.
Celia was the easiest.
No, Muffy was.
Oh,
You could
right.
give her trash and she'd get a heart for you.
So it's not that easy, kids, in real life farming.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Finding a
Marriage is
mate
hard.
isn't that easy.
You can't just grow a tomato and give it to someone and they'll fall in love with you.
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of romantic, though.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that could work.
You gotta try it. Try it out.
That's right.
I grew this tomato for you.
So, what comparisons do you guys want to make with like Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon?
I would say the biggest thing that I think of that's really not accurate to real life is well, it starts off accurate because when you first start Stardew Valley, you just water the small amount of crops you have with the watering can. And if you're a commercial farmer, you're not really growing a garden to make money. A garden's usually just like for your own resources. But later on, I mean, when we farm, we have gigantic irrigation systems to water all of our crops. And those things need a lot of maintenance. And you even need to like take classes if you really want to learn everything about them. And it's this whole new thing. But in Stardew Valley, you can craft these sprinklers that will literally just water all your crops every day without, like, once you build them and put them on the ground, you don't have to even think about it anymore.
Mhm.
They just keep watering every morning and then they're ready to go after they're fully grown. So it's pretty easy to just, I mean, once you get going on Stardew Valley and you get to that moment, it's really not that hard to grow something.
That was the first thing that I thought of too, because I think that the other day, or not the other day I listened to this podcast episode, but the other podcast episode, you mentioned that you were like learning more about the farm and just like how even the irrigation systems are crazy. And that's the first thing that I thought of, how in Stardew Valley, in real life, not even like with gardening or with yard work, can you just stick a sprinkler into the ground and like that works. But in Stardew
Well, like-
Valley, that's literally just you literally just stick a sprinkler into the ground,
Like-
and it's already on an automatic timer, which you can do automatic timers. In every case, you have to trench and you have to put in like lay down the pipes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Unless you have like a drip irrigation system, because then you can put it over land, or like if you have hoses. Regardless, you don't just stick a sprinkler into the ground. But anyway.
Yeah, and you need like constant electricity and constant like
Yep.
just
Yeah,
like
what's the power source? What's the water source?
And just the wear and tear of things, just the amount of things you have to replace or repair. So
Mhm.
much money and work and labor. Just, I wish it was like Stardew Valley where you literally just stuck a sprinkler head in the ground and just expected it to work.
Yeah, and that the sprinkler never breaks. Yeah.
Never.
well, and like it makes it so easy to play because then you just plant your seeds and you forget about them for the 10-day span in the game, and then you're like, oh, I have so much money now. It's like, yeah, that's not real.
That's another thing about Stardew Valley. Is that I feel like, with the shortened years that they have, you kind of have to make the growing span of crops shorter. But the really odd way that they work it with their seasons, because in what world is a spring crop really going to die like at the beginning of summer? Because in Stardew Valley, for those that don't know, you have certain crops that you can grow during certain seasons. So you have spring crops and summer crops and fall crops, and there's nothing really that you can grow during winter other than stuff that you
Forageables.
can forage. Yeah. And I don't know, in real life there are things that you like plant earlier in the season or that you can plant in the fall and then harvest in the springtime, or that, at different points in the season you plant and harvest. But I don't know, I just kind of from the get-go I thought that that was really odd how Stardew Valley worked it with their seasons, when I feel like just as easily you could have like a normal calendar
Yeah.
and just have it be more optimal growing times rather than the hard and fast rule.
Yeah. It's the first day of summer, you wake up and all your crops are just wilted
Dead.
completely, and you just have to clear them all out because I guess it's immediately just scorching hot.
Mhm.
I honestly wish it was that easy to just sit there for 10 days and then harvest, because then we would be millionaires just times 20.
And not have to weed, because
Right.
there are not really any weeds in Stardew Valley. Well, kind of, but
You just cut them down. Like you don't
yeah,
pick them or
You
anything.
cut them and feed your cows with it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's just give our cows weeds.
Another thing that I was thinking of is like you do a lot of fertilizer and you do a lot of chemical and you do a lot of like pesticides and stuff to keep your crops like pristine and good. Or in Stardew Valley, it's literally just put it in the ground. There's no like research. There's no nothing. There are like speed grows and stuff like that, but
What do you guys think are like the top worries or like top things that you think about that farmers like think about? And then the top things that you worry about in Stardew Valley, like just generally in the game? Because I feel like those are pretty different things. Like I was thinking, so I'll start for me. I was thinking that for farmers, or maybe like in horticulture, which is kind of and like maybe smaller scale kind of market garden type that Stardew Valley is more simulating.
Yeah.
But I think that you worry most about maybe like, and this isn't necessarily the case, but I think the weather and like what market you're going to be able to sell your crops to.
Yeah.
So weather and marketing are the two things. And I don't know, probably what you worry about most in Stardew Valley is like not really farming, just like going out and gathering resources.
how do I make the most out of my day? I think in
Yeah.
Stardew
Yeah.
Valley, because you have each day in Stardew Valley is 10 minutes long, and like
Mhm.
if you don't like utilize that whole 10 minutes, you just feel crappy because it's like I didn't grab enough ore from the mine so I can make my tools better, which is another thing that you don't have to do as an actual farmer. Or I
Like
didn't
maybe that part is accurate for Stardew Valley, is that in real life you're still worrying about, you know,
filling your day with. But like sometimes I feel like farms though, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are times in the year where you can kind of relax because it's like, well, today we just kind of have to wait for a week or two. Like we might have another thing to do over here, but I don't know. I know farmers are extremely busy all summer long because of most of them are how big their operation is going. But
Right.
I
I don't
I feel
know.
like if you're a smaller farmer, sometimes you're gonna have that downtime of, well, what do I do now? Am I completely wrong with that or no?
yeah, you say your thing and then I'll say mine.
I would disagree.
Well, I'm just meaning
Uh,
like smaller farmers. I'm not meaning like your parents, because your parents have a lot of land and a lot of
Oh,
things to do. I'm meaning
yeah.
like smaller
okay.
farmers, comparing it to Stardew Valley, like how big their farms are. Like if they're smaller and you sometimes might have to wait. I didn't want to get like mixed up because I know farmers work a lot every single day, especially if they have big operations.
So if you played Stardew Valley and you get into the winter, you realize like I can't do anything. I just have to go to the mine or fish
Mm.
all day, and then I go to sleep because I can't do any farming. But in the winter in real life, I mean, think about all the fruit trees you would have in Stardew Valley. Those trees are just basically dead during the winter, and then they come back to life in the spring. But you would have to prune them and make sure that, they're ready for the springtime. There's so much work going on even in the winter. Um, for me myself, I've been mentioning in the podcast that I'm really free, like I don't have much to do, but there's still a lot of work going on throughout the farm uh, during this winter time. Every tree needs to be taken care of. Every tree needs to be
Pruned.
cut in the right spots so that it can be producing the right amount of fruit for each tree. So that because if you have too much fruit, it's not good for the tree.
Right. Because with apples, they are biennial bearing, or a lot of varieties are. So they will bear a lot of fruit one year, and then the next year they won't bear a lot of fruit, and they'll go through that 2-year cycle.
Interesting.
Which would be
Did not
interesting
know
to see
that.
in a video game, right?
That would
Like,
suck, man.
I don't know. I feel like that would make it a little bit more compelling, a
Well,
little bit more stressful.
That just made me think in Stardew Valley, you get an apple a day, like on your apple tree.
Yeah,
They don't
crazy,
just
right?
one time.
Really?
It's
There's
just like,
no big
okay.
rush at the end to like harvest
Yeah,
everything.
it reminds me of the cows in the GameCube Harvest Moon, because it was stressful and annoying because it's like it's realistic how you have to have a baby to have milk, which is normal. But in the Wii game, in the Wii Harvest Moon, once your cow is old enough, they just have milk every day throughout the year. You don't have to have
Mm.
babies to have milk. So, and it's annoying at times for the GameCube version, but you have more.
Realism.
It's a little more, realistic. It feels you feel more accomplished because you have to try to figure out the formula to try to get milk all year round.
That's actually where I learned that that's what you have to do to get milk from a cow.
Yeah.
Have
Because I
baby.
was a kid playing, I was like, I'm trying to milk this cow, but it's not working. And then it took me like all day to figure out that I have to you have to go to like the
Whoa.
diary or something and order
Yeah,
your cow to get pregnant or something.
the logbook. Have
It's
someone
like,
come and
why would my
and
cow
pregnant.
need to get pregnant to get milk? I got no idea.
That was I had a friend recently, like a coworker when I was in Arizona, who asked me how dairy farmers make sure that their cows are producing milk all the time. Like, do they give them hormone treatments, or like what do they do? And like his mind was blown, kind of, that you have to inseminate them for them to give milk. This like I just don't think that that's like a commonly known thing.
But like that's what happens with humans. Like,
Right.
like how? I don't know. Being a biology teacher major, like biology education major, like some of the things that kids think up, because I've been in a high school for the last 6 weeks, some of the things that they think up are just like, that doesn't make any sense, like what you just said. Talking about all this though, my wife, I just mentioned, her parents are ranchers and they run a ranch, like help with the family ranch kind of thing. And like it was weird to me how like backwards their years were, because for farmers like you two that have like fields and crops and things, like summer and fall are like your busy months, right? Am I wrong about that?
And spring.
And spring, just all around that. The winter
Like,
is
summer might be a little bit less busy depending on what you got.
true. Their busiest time is the winter, because they have to make sure their like cows and stuff don't get hurt by the snow, and they live in Wyoming, which gets to -30. So they have to make sure the cows are fine, them fed every day. Yeah, and then calving. So like her dad goes out at 2 a.m. to make sure the calves are fine when it's snowing and raining and stuff. And it's like, that would kind of suck.
And this is where I think that like imagine if Stardew Valley had that level of realism, not necessarily of like looking realistic, but of like where during the winter, if you have cows and sheep, the winter you're gonna have to be up in the middle of the night, like in the video game, and that's gonna affect like your daytime exhaustion levels or something. I just think that would be so cool. Like that's, I think that a big part, like in any video game, you can talk about like, oh, that's not how it really is in real life, but like Yeah, like how certain things are unrealistic in video games, and I think that that's fine, but I think that some of the fantasy elements in video games are fine also, but
Yeah.
I just think that with some of these realistic, or like these things that we're talking about that are unrealistic about Stardew Valley, or that could be more realistic, like it could improve the gameplay to make it more realistic, or it could make it a more exciting or more engaging game.
Yeah. When you were saying that, I was thinking of the medicine that you could buy in those farming games.
Hmm.
You literally buy it for like 100 coins or something, like super cheap. And you just like sprinkle it on the animal or something, and it's like a little pixie dust or something. And immediately your animal is cured from like whatever it was sick with. And it's not the case in real life. I mean, we don't have any animals on our farm. We're not like that typical red barn with the sheep and the pig and the horses and whatever. We're usually just in a tractor farming on fields. I know that you can't just heal your animals with a bag of medicine. In most cases, it's a long process.
My wife's parents, they're lucky that her aunt is actually a vet and lives on the ranch, so
Yeah.
she can take care of it, because without that, it would be such an expensive ordeal sometimes, with how bad the cows get sick sometimes and how bad the calves like need help.
Yeah, there's not really a vet character in Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon, is there?
There's
Just a
a
doctor.
there's just a
There's a doctor, but that's a human doctor.
Yeah. And you can marry him.
Yeah. It's cute.
When you were saying that, though, it made me think. I've always wanted a farming game. 'Cause I don't know about you guys, but I've always wanted Harvest Moon. I enjoy Harvest Moon. I love every aspect of it, but I've always kind of wanted it to be a little bit more, just a little bit more simulated and fully focused on farming. Like I want it to be my whole day is spent on my farm doing tasks to make it bigger. I don't want to have to worry about fishing or mining.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
Well,
it. It's kind of fun to upgrade stuff through your mining, but I want like a mixture between Farming Simulator and Harvest Moon, just like in a small little,
Yeah.
in between.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a perfect farming game. A little bit of
that's-
fantasy, a little bit of simulation, fully focused on your farm, making it big. I don't want to worry about fishing. I don't want to do that.
I would like to also to like answer Colin's earlier question about if farmers are busy. It just reminded me one of a joke that I heard from like this farmer who was presenting at a big ag conference. And he was saying that I think that you can be really busy as a farmer, and then there are some farmers that aren't as busy, who are still in the big farming business. And he told the joke that farmers are the only people who will spend 8 hours in a diner talking about how hard they work. But anyway, and then also, so yeah, to be fair, that can be the case for some farmers, and that can be the case for cannot be the case for others, depending on how hard you work, I guess, and how much you leave to your employees to do. Also, speaking of which, there's no real, you can't have employees in Stardew Valley, which I think would be kind of cool if you could delegate some of your tasks, you take away some of your money to delegate some of your tasks.
Yeah.
I don't know, that'd be kind of sick. But also, okay, the other thing that is the thing is that Stardew Valley, I feel like, kind of isn't really trying to simulate or emulate the kind of agriculture that we're more familiar with, because there is the other side of agriculture. Like there's basically two types of farming that I know of. Obviously there's nuance and there are obviously plenty of other kinds of farming, but two basic kinds, and that's kind of small scale and local, and large scale and widely distributed. And we're more in the large scale, widely distributed. And then Stardew Valley kind of in some ways is trying to be like, I think it's trying to go with like the what you picture as like small scale and local, which like I've had some experience with that as well. I've worked for just like a few weeks on this teeny tiny little a few acre vegetable farm on northwestern Washington. And then also actually where I got most of my Stardew Valley experience was while I was working on a research farm in Malawi in Africa. And then when I was done, I just like couldn't get enough of farming, and so I would turn on Stardew Valley on my phone and then just keep on farming. But like even in that case, that farm that I was on in northwestern Washington, it was like maybe just a couple of acres, but it was crazy busy because the farmer had to have like orders ready every week for like local agriculture. You don't just harvest once a year. You have to have orders ready for every week because you're selling directly to your customers.
Mm.
And so you have to plan your harvests at planting. Like you have to say, okay, I need to have spinach on the weekend of June 12th. So I need to plant it in such and such a date. And then you have to like plan out how many rows in your garden you have. And then on the day that you harvest one thing, you're planting another thing on top of it so that every week you have something to give your customers. And there was like so much work to be done with getting ready for springtime and like with the greenhouses. Anyway, and even like with irrigation where they didn't have pipes, they used hoses and like drip irrigation. And we actually did water all of the plants. At least they used drip irrigation once they were established, but like you would transplant the starters into the earth.
Yeah.
And then once you transplanted them, then you would use your watering bucket. But we used a hose with like, the dog washer thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then they also had livestock there. But yeah, it was crazy just how like Stardew Valley was trying so hard to emulate this kind of farming. And it was just so off. I don't know, just how involved like the scheduling was. And then also with the weather where if crops get too cold, they die. And if they get too hot, they die. So you have to like watch out for that. And then also with marketing, where in Stardew Valley, that's the thing that's common between large scale and small scale agriculture is you have to think about marketing. And in Stardew Valley,
Just throw it in a box.
you throw it in a box. It's literally not a thought. Whereas it's the main thought, I think, for most farmers.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just think that, yeah, those are some things where I think that if some of those things were incorporated more into like farming video games, like specifically the ones that are trying to be more like small scale, I think that would be so fun, like so exciting, and like trying to figure out the magic of like what the best scheduling is and trying to keep your customers, and you're like trying to sell to the townsfolk, like the doctor that you can marry and whatnot. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you guys have a very different experience of farming than me. I feel like my life has been like Harvest Moon because we'll have 20 chickens, we'll have 2 pigs, we'll have we used to have like usually 20 cows, and my grandpa's big into farming, so we'd have to go out every day and water them with the hose. And then we live in a small town, and I don't know, it's hard work. They make it seem easier than it is, and the big word, they hide the stink from you in those games. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, living on a small farm with all those animals, when you just go outside, it doesn't smell bad. It feels fresh. It's not bad. But when you get in with them, it's they're living animals, and stink.
It does stink.
Yeah, our orchard is just a little bit downwind of a really big feedlot that they raise cows for dairies. And then also when I was on that farm, on that smaller farm, they also had a ton of chickens and a few cows. And so that one was a little bit more like Harvest Moon, but just like the game mechanics are different, I feel like. But the reason why I brought up the feedlot next to our orchard is that, little known fact, animals smell bad.
Am I weird to say that I actually kind of like the smell of a dairy just because it kind of reminds me of home?
Oh,
And when I moved to this town, one of my friends also lived on a dairy that I went to his house quite often. So I got really used to the smell of a dairy, and to me it kind of just smells good just because it's just that's what home smells like.
It's not terrible.
Trigger good memories.
chickens do smell bad though.
I've never been around too many chickens, so
Yeah.
I don't know that smell.
I wanted to ask everyone. I know we've been talking about the same 2 games, but I'm curious. I just want to know what each of your guys' favorite farming game is, if you had to choose one. I'm sure we've already said it, but I just want to hear it. For me, it's Harvest Moon, GameCube, A Wonderful Life.
That's mine as well. Harvest Moon: A
Cool.
Wonderful Life. I don't know what year it came out, but it was quite a while ago.
Early
And
2000s.
I would say Stardew Valley has more features, and it's kind of improved upon a lot of the features of Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life, but it's
But
still
it's
really
missing
good
some
game.
features, though, to me.
I feel like it's the nostalgia factor too. Just
Yeah.
first one of the first games we played.
Harvest Moon? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say mine is Stardew Valley, just because of I feel like I played insane amount of hours on it, and I
You
I
like
kind of got
100%,
addicted
right?
to the. I don't know what you consider 100% in that game.
You can't 100% it, man.
Well, the achievements, I
Aren't
guess.
you immortal in that game?
Yes, so you can go like year.
You can never
500.
die.
I'm on year like 6.
You're a god.
I haven't
You
gotten all
learn
the
that at the
achievements because
beginning.
one of the achievements is to cook every recipe in the game, and that does not appeal to me. Like to
Oh,
go find every single, because you have to
Yeah.
watch the TV in the morning to get a different recipe, and you have to talk to everybody and figure out their favorite recipes in the town, and then you have to cook
Sounds
it, and it's
exciting.
like that just sounds like a waste of time to me. So I just never got that part of it.
you're right. What's your favorite game? Player 4? Carter?
No. Oh, goodness gracious. There are so many guys, there are so many farming video games. All right. Geez Louise. Okay, so hang on. Before I say my favorite, let me shout out a few of them. First of all, RuneScape. Because we've talked about like how RuneScape's agriculture is, and how you like kind of play the stock market a little bit with that,
Mhm.
which like happens in real life. I know that my dad talks about wheat prices all the time because they're trying to figure out like when to sell all this wheat they got.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's an aspect of RuneScape's farming.
Yeah.
Also
You can farm on
Minecraft.
RuneScape?
You can farm on
Yep.
RuneScape. So
Farming is an entire skill. And
Really?
there was a day that I had Carter come over and I wanted to show him farming because we spent some time kind of like how we're talking about it now, just talking about farming games. And I was like, I think you would like this whole farming thing on RuneScape.
Or like at least appreciate it.
I
Right.
do appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
I doubt you'll make a
It's a
membership
sight to
account.
behold. Well, you have to level up so much to be able to farm, though,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of prerequisites for everything you need to do.
And then also, obviously, Minecraft. My word, what a farming sim that game is. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more to it than farming, but that farming is like an interesting aspect of it,
It
and
is.
that you can like control the local economy with your farming. Like, isn't that a way that you can like coerce villagers to like level up in certain ways? Is with the agriculture
Yeah.
system there, controlling the local food supply. Anyway,
Well, it's
insane.
mainly you just grow a bunch of wheat, make a bunch of bread, and then trade for emeralds, and that's basically it. And then you
Incredible.
could sell the emeralds to get like cool stuff from the villagers. So
I liked Carter's explanation better.
Yeah.
okay,
Controlling the peasants,
Screw you, man.
burn their crops, make them rely on you.
Yes.
Another farming game that I looked up and I remembered that I actually played a lot of, Heyday, the app. Did you guys play that?
Dude, can I be
Heyday.
honest right now?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
I'm playing it right now.
Are you?
Literally during this podcast,
I just got a
I'm with.
notification.
Yeah,
Dude, I forgot what that game for. Yeah, that game's actually pretty fun.
Yeah. It's just something I check in the morning and that night.
check
Just
out my
something to
crops.
just do.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's just you grow your crops and you turn the crops into different ingredients and materials, and you use those materials to combo with other things and make you just make all these different.
That's the aspect that's fun is
Yeah,
getting what you need to, and then there's certain orders you have to fulfill. Yeah.
combining it to
Mhm.
fulfill those orders. And
So that's a cool game that like does include part of the marketing aspect
Yeah.
of.
and you can sell it at your like roadside shop, and you can decide the price for it, and then real players can go to your shop and browse
Buy it.
and buy whatever they want, and then you get the money, and it's nice. It's fun.
And then, okay, obviously Farm Simulator 19 and all the other ones in that series, which I only played once at an ag expo. in Paris, so it was all in French, so I didn't understand. Oh, but the reason why I said that game is also kind of doing its own little fantasy thing is that it's kind of being more like large scale agriculture, but like it's just so obsessed with those tractors, man. It's like I feel like the main pull of the game is that you can play all these specific John Deere tractors that exist in real life, and it kind of just feels like kind of they're just an ad for John Deere tractors and for like, oh, look at me, big man driving my big machine. Which is honestly a big part of my childhood and kind of sick. But anyway, there was also a lot more manual labor that I remember.
Are there tractors in Stardew Valley?
No, but there's a mod that you can get where you can drive around and it just harvests any crop that's ready.
But the can't you have like ride your horse and have it
No.
do nonsense with the crops? No, that's all. That's still the mod.
Mhm.
Shucks.
It might be a mod.
All right.
I don't get why there isn't a tractor. Just because right by the mayor's house is a pickup truck and there's a bus in the game, and it's like you can tell it's in modern day or modern-ish day. Like there should just be a tractor in the game. This is like that's why I stopped. Is I stopped on the first day of summer, and I just didn't want to till up the land and go plant my crops one by one. I was just like, this is dumb. I'm done.
Especially since there are irrigation systems that are so high tech in that game.
You just stick it in the ground, man. But what's your number one farming game? Those are all honorable mentions.
Those are all honorable mentions. Let me name another honorable mention. Yeah, Egg Incorporated. You guys know that one? That one's on the phone.
Is that just
You're pretty far in that
it's
game.
the chicken game, yeah.
It's the chicken game.
You tap egg, you tap the right.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, guys, I like cured cancer and was able to time travel with the eggs that we got in that game. It's you literally just tap the screen.
Oh, so it's like Cookie Cooker.
Yep. I played it for like a day.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. This is a Flash game. Rest in peace. Burger Tycoon.
That's what I was thinking right when you said a Flash game. That's a fun game.
That's a fun game. It's like impossible to win. That game is crazy fun. And it's an ag video game. Like half of it is where you are trying to raise crops and raise cattle in like Brazil, and like you're cutting down the rainforest to do it.
Yeah.
And then you're also trying to feed those. You have a feedlot where you're trying to feed those animals. And then the other half is, of course, you're selling burgers and you're like controlling the empire, I guess, of it. So I think that one might honestly be my number one. I'm going to say that one's my number one just because I don't think you can play it anymore. And I think that makes it deserve it. And then also it's so difficult and pretty fun, I think.
That game, I haven't heard about that in years, and that unlocked so many memories. It was so hard for me when I played as a kid because there's so many things you have to think about.
Oh my word.
In real time.
And your employees hate you.
Yeah.
And all of the cows get mad cow disease.
So you have to incinerate them.
Yeah, that's a rough game. Yeah, I'd say that was my number one. Honestly, like probably Harvest Moon is my number one, but like I don't know. I'm gonna give it to Burger Tycoon. Just just like how Heath Ledger won the Academy Award when he died. I feel like Burger Tycoon has to get it. Rest in peace, Heath. Rest in peace, Flash games. We'll miss you so much.
Well, Carter, do you have any social media things or anything you'd like to shout out?
Yes, I do. I would like to shout out the Discord for Co-OpCast. That's where I do most of my social media.
We appreciate that.
Also my Instagram, art_with_cart. Yeah, go ahead and give me the old follow.
Yeah, don't you post some of your art on there?
It's in the name.
Art with Cart?
Yeah, it's in the name. I should do it more regularly, but yeah.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that you're big into art and just a lot of you do a lot of different things, right?
Yeah, actually, like a project that I've had in the fire for a while, and that like I've tried to start it up every time. Like, all right, I'll be honest, just a couple of times. But like I really want to make an ag video game, kind of incorporating a lot of the ideas that we talked about today. And so I've just gotten to the point of like character design because, I like drawing. I wouldn't be the one coding it, but that would be Sawyer. Anyway, yeah, I like making art and like sculptures and drawings and paintings and so that's pretty much it.
I did just want to bring up before we end, like Carter here was one of the big reasons we started this channel. We did have a big like conversation about this a year or two ago about like what we do if we did a podcast and things like that. So we'll probably have Carter on here again sometime talking about that and probably talking about his art and talking about. But Carter has a lot to talk about, and we love talking with him. So we'll probably have him back. No. Well, sort of, but no.
Yeah, we were literally playing Halo on the PC when it first came out, the Master Chief Collection. And whoever was playing, the other two would sit behind them and we just talk about something random. We're like, dude, we should stream this right now. Or like, we should record this. This is good stuff. And so that kind of inspired us to do this podcast.
I'm happy to be here as a guest, as a player 4. No, yeah, it was really cool. I don't know. It was so cool, guys. First of all, it was cool to just like, it's cool to talk about video games, first of all, and to just talk about crap. But it was so awesome. Like everybody has a conversation about like, oh, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
It was so awesome to hear that you guys actually started the podcast that we had started about or talked about. I was so proud of that moment. And yeah, anyway, so that was pretty sick. And it's also really cool to like listen to the podcast and like what you guys have kind of been doing with it. Like for example, when you had Siggy on as player 4 last time, that I listened to it just a few days ago, and that inspired me to try out Clash Royale. Pretty fun game, and I think that I might have gotten almost to the level that Sawyer got, of like below average.
Pretty easy to get to my level.
Yeah. No, it's been fun to hear comments from people who've listened, where a lot of the times they're like, man, just listening to your podcast really made me want to get back into gaming, or maybe really want to try that thing out. It's just been really awesome to hear stuff like that.
It does. Another update from this week, I forgot to mention it at the beginning, but is that I got a new laptop because mine was like 5 pounds and 16-inch screen and like had not even the i3 processor, but the one below that, but not even the one below that, but like several below that. So I mentioned on the Discord that I'm just excited to have a laptop that can play Minesweeper now. So like I got a Steam account a couple days ago.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I still haven't spent enough money on it to have friends, but I'm very excited for that.
We'll have to think of a game that can run on your laptop that we can play together. We could do a gameplay episode.
Yeah. Oh no, so I got a new one. So it's got i5. So like it can do like Stardew and Minecraft and
Okay. Keep that in mind.
Cool beans. Well, thank you all for listening. This has been a fun time. Have a good week. Have a good life. Come join the Discord, please. Love to see you there. Been posting questions of the week every week. Love you guys. Deuces.
Mwah.
I've got to poop. I'm going to use the bidet. I love you so much. Good night.